Hi, this is Linda with Teach for the Heart, and I'm here with my brother-in-law, Jon Kardamis, and we're going to talk a little bit today about those students in your classroom who just don't seem like they care or maybe are trying, but they're just really, really struggling. And Jon was telling me a little bit how he was kind of one of those students when he was back in high school. It just definitely did not come easy. And so I think it'll be really interesting to get the perspective of one of those students now that they've graduated from college and are, kind of into their life a little bit. So, Jon, can you give us a little bit of perspective, though? Let's start with what are you doing now? What did you end up doing with your education?
Well, I graduated with a degree in studio art, and right now I'm working as a professional portrait artist.
Great. Okay. So, wow, you struggled in high school, but you went ahead and you graduated from college, and now you're owning your own business, and it's in the field of art. So there's a lot going on there. So, Jon, what was it like for you in junior high or high school? What were some of the struggles you faced as a student?
I'd say being misunderstood as a student who didn't care.
Okay, so you say you're misunderstood as a student who didn't care. So are you saying you actually did care? It just didn't come across like that to your teachers?
Yeah, I think a lot of times, teachers will look at a grade line, and if their student isn't making A's or B's, then they just don't want it enough, and they're not trying hard enough. And that just wasn't true for me because I would be doing a lot of these steps where, I would be meeting with my teachers after school.
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple tutors that were helping me, try to get this. And I'd be spending many hours before test going through my notes. And then, I'd take that test, I'd get the grade back, and it'd be, a C or a C minus. And for a lot of people, that can be devastating. But for me, I'd be excited with that grade. And so, there would be the teachers that would come up and be like, I know you can do better. Yeah, they'd be real disappointed in everything, and that for sure can be demoralizing. But I did have a teacher who I'd get a grade like that, and they would be. I could tell that they were proud with me, proud of me, and they would come up to me and say, Jon, you got this grade on the test. Good job. And that just spoke so much, and actually motivated me more to want to try to get better in that class.
Yeah, okay. So a takeaway for all the teachers who are listening, maybe there is just that to recognize that there's students in your class that, a C can be a really good grade for them. And just to recognize that in your students. Of course, we want to push kids to do their best, but when a student is doing their best and the number is, a C, then we should be proud of them. We should congratulate them and let them know that we recognize that they're caring. Do you feel like is that kind of what you were looking for when you were in school?
Yeah,
Just
for sure.
Yeah, just that acknowledgement, just that understanding that it is hard for them. So, we were talking a little bit before we got on here, and you were saying that, some teachers really encouraged you while others, tended to frustrate you. Can you tell me about one of the teachers or an instance that a teacher did something that was encouraging?
So yeah, obviously as an artist, I was doodling and sketching a lot, in my notes, and I had a teacher come up to me and specifically ask if I could draw up an illustration for a class that he had to be an example. And that really meant a lot to me, looking back on it now, to see that he appreciated what I did and wanted to use what I was doing in class to kind of help him out in his teaching.
Okay, so the teacher sees that, you like to draw, you're doodling, you clearly have a gift for art, even though you might be struggling in his class. And so instead of getting on you for liking art, he recognized that gift and asked you to make something for the class.
Yeah.
So which to you said, man, you care about what I care about.
Yeah.
So you have that rapport. But then also, as a teacher, he got you to learn something too. Because he was having you create something for a class and learning in a way that meant something to you by drawing. Mm-hmm. So that's really, really neat. I think we as teachers can be a lot more creative sometimes in recognizing, when students are passionate about different things and trying to incorporate that or finding ways to show them that we value that.
Yeah. And on the flip side, I think I would have some teachers say, boy, if you would spend, half the time studying that you do, sketching all these little things, then maybe your grades would be better. And for me, I know that in order to not just slip out into my own little world, sketching through my notes would kind of help me, because a lot of times they would be similar to what we'd be talking about, and in my mind, those pictures would help me focus and be learning what we were talking about.
Yeah. So how did it make you feel when a teacher said something like that? Would
Uh,
you stop? Quick, cut that out. Quit.
yeah, it would kind of turn me off to the class, because I'd be like, well, I guess she doesn't really care about this, and it was something that I was really passionate about, and I think it'd be great if teachers could try to look for opportunities to see what their students are passionate with, and how they can kind of be like, hey, we're on the same team with this.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing I think with that is just that, you were there, you were drawing, you were passionate about that. It wasn't even just a passion for you. Obviously, you were passionate about it, but it's become now your career. And that was something that it wasn't just a passing fancy for you. That's what you ended up studying in college, and you continue to hone your craft. It's not something. And for those of you that are listening, Jon is not. I will speak here. Jon is not one of those painters that's just like, oh, I spent 2 seconds on this painting and it's lovely, and everyone's like, oh yeah, it's very nice. Jon is super talented, and I'm gonna probably share some of his paintings here, but he is incredibly talented and very gifted, and it's not just talent, it's a lot of hard work too. So this is something that's taken a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, and it's very clear that he had these skills. And I guess just kind of keeping that in mind, that there's these students in our classes that have these skills, and they're different than the traditional academic skills, but they're valuable skills nonetheless. And just kind of realizing different students have different paths in their life. And yes, we still want them to learn math and English and history. That's still a valuable part of their education. But I guess just recognizing the fact that it's more challenging for them, and that they have other skills that they should be spending time on, I guess is what I'm saying. That time you were spending on your art was not wasted time. No. It was valuable. It was already training you for your career.
Yeah.
So, Jon, you got all these teachers listening to you now. So, what do you wish your teachers had understood back when you were in high school that, you want these teachers listening to understand about their students?
Well, obviously you want to push your students, and I understand that. When I went to college and I took some of my art classes, I obviously was very passionate about art, and I started off by getting B's, even though I was really artistic just all throughout school. I wasn't really happy with getting those B's, and so I worked at it. I worked hard, and I was able to finally, work my way up to an A. And I think, the other academics being, math, English, science, and sometimes the best grade that I could get in those classes was a C. And, wanting to push me to get a better grade kind of was frustrating. And I kind of think of if, we took maybe this English student who was just straight A English student, maybe good at writing, and, threw him in an art class and, said, do your best. And they ended up, their best was a C in an art class. And, they really couldn't get better than a C because, for art, you kind of have to be born with a certain knack or talent to it. And if you want to perfect it, you have to work hard at it. But, and if their teacher just wasn't happy with them and was like, I know that you can get a B or I know that you can get an A, that would be super frustrating for this, English student who knows what they're good at and is trying hard, but all they can get is a C in these art classes.
Yeah, I mean, I can totally relate to that. I'm horrible at drawing, and if I watched my friends in college take art classes, and I just thought, man, if I had to do that, I would struggle to get a C. I mean, I would be lucky to get a C.
Yeah, and art isn't required, and so that isn't really exposed within a lot of people.
Right. So I guess we just need to realize, just like I would struggle and work so hard to get a C in an art class, there are students that are legitimately trying and struggling and just barely getting that C level, barely getting to that C. So when you, Jon, would you, what do you wish then that teachers, would have done a little bit differently? Like, how do you wish they would have reacted when you got those C's? You said some of them did. How should these teachers react when their students are trying and just, not failing, but...
For sure, just understanding more, trying to get on their level. Like I mentioned before, you know, trying to get them to realize you're on the same team, and trying to, like that one teacher did, ask me about my art, show that you care about them, and, just be patient in working with them.
Is there anything else you want to share with us?
Well, I think struggling in a class can be just as frustrating to a student as it is to the teacher. It's just students sometimes may show it in a different way.
Okay, yeah, I think you're right. I think sometimes as teachers we start to think it's frustrating to us when students are struggling. And like you said, maybe we just think they don't care. But you said sometimes you show it differently. So, like, how would you maybe show this frustration?
Well, sometimes I would maybe just sleep through the class or, just doodle, work on something else.
Okay, but you're saying you weren't sleeping in class necessarily because you were sleeping in class because you were frustrated.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and
I would just kind of check out of that class. If I knew that me and that teacher were kind of butting heads in a certain way where maybe I wasn't getting it and they were frustrated because I wasn't getting it. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to check out of this class.
Forget it.
Yeah.
Okay. What would help you then? Like, what do you think? What do you wish they would have done differently? What do you think would have helped to re-engage you, the next day, get back into trying again?
Well, I think, just a lot of times it can go so far for a teacher to just, call a student after class, and instead of maybe being combative, because, I had some friends, they would maybe be called after class, and they'd come out of that, class, sobbing and, going to the bathroom and everything, and if that teacher basically just kind of got on their level and asked, how they were doing, showed that student that they really cared about them, asked about them, I think that then that would really just speak so much to the student.
And I think you're absolutely right. I think when we, as teachers, take the time to just, maybe it's not even talking about the class. Maybe it is. Maybe it is asking, what can I help you with? Tell me about your struggles.
Yeah.
But maybe it's even just asking them about their day. Just kind of re-engaging and just showing that, putting aside our own frustration and realizing the student is struggling, even if it might not seem like it, even if it might seem like they care. And just taking that time to just...
Well, I know something that was huge to me was when a teacher would come up to me and ask, maybe about my family, or they would ask if there was anything that they could pray about. And, in asking for a prayer request, that really showed me that they cared and meant a lot to me. And then I was a lot more likely to, in that class, kind of, give them that respect, to listen to them instead of just checking out of that class.
Yeah, and to try to do your best. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jon, thanks so much for taking a few minutes to talk to us about your struggles and the teachers who encouraged you. If someone would like to take a look at some of your paintings and your art that you're working on now, where could they find that?
They can find me on either Facebook. I have a Facebook fine art page. It's called Jon Kardamis Fine Art. And then I have a website, JonKardamisFineArt.com.
And we'll link to both of those in the notes here.
And also, I want to thank you because, actually Linda was one of my tutors just going through high school. And so, she put up with a lot too. And definitely helped me a lot through high school. But, just in being a teacher, I'm sure everybody can recognize that today's day and age is a very instantaneous lifestyle. Everything is instant. We have fast food, microwave things, photographs, and so it can be. You can notice a lot of kids just aren't able to focus unless they have a tablet in their hands. And I think it is really important to, if at all possible, incorporate an appreciation of art in your classes. Whether it be showing them, different paintings, explaining to them all the work that goes behind this. It isn't just something that just happens. And, if they're able to recognize that, they'll be a lot better off for it.
Yeah, just to recognize that, the time and effort pays off in working with that. I imagine here, it might be a good idea if you have a student in your class that is the artist, to maybe show them some of Jon's paintings and just share with them, this is someone who struggled in school. They went on to study art, and look what they're doing now. And just kind of could be a way that they could show a student that they value their gift of art and kind of push them a little bit to excel in what they already are passionate about.
Yeah, and if there's anybody that would like to contact me, has any questions, if maybe you know of somebody, who wants a painting done, or a student who's interested in art that would like to learn more, how they can maybe take steps in their life right now to, better their self going into that career, I would love to talk with them.
Awesome. Yeah, so they should just find you through your website then.
Yeah.
And we'll link to it right there. Well, thanks so much.